Hey, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a fun one because I'm going to answer all your questions, and I actually got quite a few questions, so we have a lot to talk about today. But if you asked a question, I will put them in the description box below so you can find the timestamp for when I answered the question, and you can skip around if you want to. But let's get started with question number one, which was, we have a lot of guests over here and sometimes they stay for weeks or months. We are open to that and we like it most of the time, but what are your thoughts on hospitality? And I love that question because first and foremost, I believe that being open to guests and showing hospitality is actually very important. But with that being said, we have quite a small home and we don't host as much as I would like to. That is something that I'm actually working on and that I really want to do more, but we usually go to somebody else because our house is just so small that if we have friends over with, let's say, 3 children, it is full and it is a lot of noise. So oftentimes our friends have bigger homes, so we usually go to them, but I really do want to grow in this and I want to show hospitality to people. So like I said, maybe not that much of an answer to your question, but definitely something that is extremely important. And if you like having people over, then by all means go for it, because I do believe that is very important. Next question is, how do you stay consistent with your relationship with the Lord and with the Word and with praying? And this is something that I absolutely love. I love this question because it is so important that we keep putting effort into our relationship with God. And that means that we try to talk to Him and read about Him and study the Word as often as we can. So I talk about this all the time on my channel. So I will actually link a video up here as well, which is about how I spent a lot of time in the Word and how I plan that into my day as a busy mother. But what I usually do is I wake up early so I have time to read in quiet, because I do believe that having quiet time is important. But I also read a lot with the children. We pray a lot together. I read Bible stories to them and we talk about the Word and all the things a lot during the day. I love to pray when I do homemaking tasks. So when I'm folding laundry, I love to pray for my family. We have sticky notes everywhere in the house with Bible verses on them, just to make sure that I remind myself of God's Word and God's promises all the time. So it's little things like that that actually do make a lot of difference. And what I also love to do is just read my Bible in front of the children. So when they are playing, I love to read my Bible and to just go through it, or read a biblical book, something that is going to help me to grow in my faith and in my relationship with God. I can also do that in front of the children, and it actually shows them that I am studying the Word as well. So it's little pockets here and there, plus my quiet time in the morning, which really helps me to stay close to God. But it's something that you're constantly working on, and you can always improve. But spending time and being aware of, hey, I'm cooking dinner, I can actually pray while I cook dinner. Why not do that? That is something that I am learning and I'm trying to remind myself of all the time, to keep praying and keep talking to Him. Because if my husband was walking around in the room, I would constantly talk to Him. And God is with me all the time, so why not talk to Him as well? So the next question was about homeschooling, and that was, as a Christian homeschooling mom, what is your approach to teaching history to your kids? And I really like this question because I honestly never really thought about this, so I had to think about it myself. And that is because our children are pretty young still. Our oldest is 8, so he doesn't learn as much history yet. But what I love to use is Ambleside Online. And Ambleside Online is a Christian-based curriculum-ish. I don't even know if you can call it a curriculum actually, but it is a free way to shape your homeschooling. And what they do is they pick a bunch of books that you can read to your children, and that is what I use. I pre-read a bunch of the things that we do use just to make sure that it's actually biblical. So if there's anything about evolution, we don't read it because that is not what I want to teach my children. And what we want to incorporate into our homeschooling is we want to teach them about what evolution theory is, but we want to do it in the appropriate time. So for example, a child of 5 years old, they will just believe everything is truth. So we are really cautious of what we teach them, and therefore we only teach them the creation story right now. But when they're older, I do believe it's valuable for them to know what other people believe so they can actually talk to people and they understand what they believe. but they have a different view on it. I hope that makes sense. But that is what we do with history as well. We try to make it as age appropriate as possible, and that is where Ambleside Online really helps, because they create things for a certain age group. So that is what we use, but if it doesn't align with what we believe, we can decide to skip it or to move it forward a few years. That is basically how we do history, but again, our children are not that old yet, so we don't teach history as much yet. Now, the next few questions were about my routines / time management, and I love talking about that. If you didn't know that already, I love talking about that. So I'm thinking about creating actually a separate video about how our routines are set up and how I manage my time. So if you want to see a video about that, let me know down below so I can make that video. But I will answer those questions right now. And the first one is, how do you combine homeschooling and housework, and which household chores are your priority? And what I do is I actually have my planner right here, and I will show you. This is what I use as a planner. I'm not entirely sold on the setup, but it works for now. But I have homeschooling and other basically on this side. And what I just do is I write down everything that I want to do, and I write down everything that I want to do here. And this is for the home. This is appointments that we need to go to. This is just other random stuff. And this is my business stuff. And I have blocks during my days. So when it is homeschooling block, I only look at this part of my planner, because this is the homeschooling part and this is what we do during school. And then when I have work time, I only look at this part, and I try to follow what is in here. If I don't get to something, that is okay. It doesn't have to always be very tight. But what I do have is I have a schedule for my household chores as well, which was part of the question. And I always do a load of laundry every day. So every day it says load of laundry and fold a load of laundry. So that is every single day. I always vacuum. And then I add in other things, and I look at my schedule and I think, okay, Friday we need to leave. So on Thursday, I need to do the beds, for example. So that is why I also have my appointments here, just to make sure that I can actually fill it in according to when I have time and how much time I have. But I just do random things here and there just to make sure that I stay on top of it. And what I also love to use is Fly Lady, and that is mostly for my zones. So I don't really follow her schedule to a T, but I really do love using bits and pieces of everything, which is also with homeschooling. But I love using bits and pieces that work for my family, because I do believe that every family is different and you have to do what works for you. And for me, it really works to pull something from the Fly Lady method, and that is zone cleaning. So for example, this week might be the kitchen. Then during the week, I will do some extra tasks in the kitchen. Next week, it might be upstairs, so children's bedrooms or the master bedroom or the bathroom. And that is what I will focus on during the week. So if my zone for that week is kitchen, I do not do extra things in the bathroom upstairs. I do clean the bathroom, but then it's just going to be the daily tasks, and the extra cleaning will be in the kitchen for that week. So that really does help me. And I wrote a blog post about it, which I will also link down below, just to help you see how the Fly Lady method works, because it is really helpful. And especially if you're not really into routines and all that, the Fly Lady method can really help you to get into a routine and to really see what is important and what is not. So very long story about my routines, about household chores, but that is basically what I do. So I hope that that made sense. If not, feel free to ask me any more questions. I will answer them in the comment section as well, but I hope it made sense. Okay, so the next question was, how do you handle sick days and how do you get back on track? And the main answer is routines. I really do love my routines, and what I usually do is, if we have, for whatever reason, we skip a day, that's okay. Tomorrow I just pick up where I left off and we just keep going. And because I clean every single day and I do a little bit every single day, for example, if I miss a load of laundry, it doesn't matter because I'm doing one again tomorrow and I could do 2 tomorrow. I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you have one day a week where you do all your laundry and that happens to be the day where you're sick, then you're gonna miss an entire week of laundry because that was the one day that you had to do it. And for me, I just do one every single day. So it doesn't really matter if I miss one of those days. And the same goes with cleaning, with zone cleaning. Like I said, I have my zone. And I just know, okay, this is the week for kitchen. And if I don't clean my oven today, then I can clean it tomorrow. It doesn't really matter that much because I have that routine and I know what happens every single week. So my number one tip for you would be create routines, make sure you stick to them. And then if you miss a day, it doesn't really matter because you're gonna keep getting back on track every single time. And it's the best. It creates so much rest and peace in your heart if you just know, look, if I don't vacuum today, that's okay. I vacuum again tomorrow. And the next question was more about YouTube/time management there. And that was, what's your future goals for YouTube and how do you balance the time it takes to make videos with all your responsibilities as a homemaker? I still have to figure it out. Well, first off, I had to figure it out as well. I know it can be really stressful, so don't feel bad about having to figure it out still. It is something that you learn along the way, and I'm still not there yet. But again, with balancing time for making videos, here's my planner again. I really do rely heavily on this thing, if you couldn't guess already. I write down everything that I need to do for my business, and I make sure that I keep in mind what I have to do that day. So for example, I could say I want to have a video done tomorrow, but if I know that today I don't really have time to film and tonight I have an obligation somewhere, I need to go to church or whatever, then how am I ever going to do that? Because I don't have time to film, I don't have time to edit, I don't have time to create a thumbnail. How am I going to do that? So I need to plan it into my schedule and into my routine to make sure that I actually have that video ready. So again, I plan on a Sunday and I just write everything down that I need to get done. And if I don't get it done on that day, that's okay. But sometimes that does mean that you have to move some things around. So for example, today I'm filming my Q&A. I actually had an obligation tonight, but that actually fell away. So I can edit, for example, tonight. But because I first had it written down here, I wrote down editing tomorrow because that is when I do have time. So I know, again, what I did with the tasks in my house, I also did the same thing for YouTube. So I write down, okay, how long does it take to film a video? How long does it typically take me to edit? How long does it take me to create a thumbnail? How long does it take to script? All the things. I wrote down how long it takes me, and then I just add those things into my schedule. So when the children nap, I have about an hour. I make sure that I do things that are gonna take me about an hour and not write down things that are gonna take me 2 or 3 hours. So that is how I plan most of my YouTube stuff. And what I really love to do is have specific days for specific tasks. So I love to batch. And that, for example, means that I can film on one day and I can film a video and some reels or whatever you want to film. And then I edit on a different day just to make sure that I can have my focus on filming only. I film all the things I need to film, and then tomorrow I can have my full focus on editing, for example. And then the other question was, what are my future goals with YouTube? And I don't have very metric goals, so to speak. Yes, I want to hit 10K one day, and I would love to hit 100K one day. But what I really want is to have my videos reach the right amount of people and reach more women with the gospel and with biblical homemaking. So what I want to do is to just do the best that I can. So make the best video that I can think of and that I feel like God tells me to make the best thumbnail that I can make, create the best YouTube title that I can think of, make sure that as many people will see the video as I can. And then from there, I just leave it up to the Lord. So I hope that it blesses as many people as possible, but I don't really have like a specific goal. Okay, I want to reach 10K next week, for example. It's just, I want to reach as many people as I can. But when it comes to YouTube, I really followed a specific structure and made sure that what I did was actually worth my time. And that is what I would highly suggest you do. So follow a course and make sure that what you do is worth it, that you're not wasting time and putting videos up there and throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it actually is going to do something. But really be strategic about what you do on YouTube, because it takes a lot of time and you want it to make sure that it impacts as many people as you can. So I would highly suggest you follow a course. Now, I recommend 2 courses. I followed YouTubepreneur by Haley Page Johnson, and I loved that course. So I will link that course down below as well. But I also followed a blogging course by Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone, and she also made a YouTube course. So I will also link that one down below so you can find that one too. And because I love the blogging course from Lisa, I'm pretty sure that a YouTube course is just as amazing. And because I follow YouTubepreneur by Haley Page myself, I know that it's amazing. So one of those two are definitely going to help you. So if you want to be successful with YouTube, I do highly suggest you follow a course because it is going to help you. And it is one of the main reasons why I actually grew as fast as I did, because I followed a course and because I knew what I was doing. So if you are not following a course yet, I will link those below so you can actually see them. Now, along with goals, someone asked us, what are your long-term goals for your family? Our goal, honestly, is just to do what God asks of us. So that is our long-term goal for the family. And I really don't know where God is going to bring us. And that is the fun part. Then the next question was also business related. And that was, why did the network marketing business not work for you? And I actually did an entire video about that. So I will put that video in the iCard above as well. But long story short, it just didn't really align with our goals. I really felt like I wasn't able, at that time at least, to focus on my family and on my business. I was sucked into the business a lot. And it does require a lot of your attention because you're constantly, people ask you questions and you need to help your team members and you need to help people get the products and all the things. And it asked so much of my time that it kind of took time away from my family. And that was not what we wanted in our life. That is not what I believe is healthy. I really wanted to have a business that really I was able to plan into my day and not have that business take away from my time every hour of the day. So that is basically why it didn't work. But again, I did the video about it. So if you want to know more about it, I would highly suggest watching that video. And then the last question is actually a pretty loaded question, which is why I put it at the end. And she also said, if you don't want to answer this, if it's too private, that's okay. But it is actually something that I do want to address. And that is, how do you deal with people in your community or family members that openly don't appreciate the choices that you and your husband make? And I do actually kind of like this question because that is something that we have dealt with. And it is not something that you learn in 2 or 3 days. It has been a learning process for us, and we know that a lot of people don't understand what we do, and they don't understand that I am a stay-at-home mother and that we try to live off of one income, even though it's really tough. And a lot of people don't understand why we homeschool and why we would even want to be with our kids 24/7. So a lot of people didn't really share that excitement with us, and there were not that many people that were really negative about it, but a lot of people just don't understand. So they will say things that just don't make sense for us when they say, okay, you can just go to work and then you have 2 incomes. Well, no, it doesn't make sense for us because our values are, we want to be with our family, we want to homeschool them and all that. But what I've learned along the way is that it doesn't really matter what people think about our choices. These are our choices, and this is what we decided as a family, and ultimately is what me and my husband want to do, and not what other people think we should do. So it has been a process, and we've been homeschooling for about 5 years now. So it has been a process, and it takes a lot of time. But in the end, it doesn't really matter what other people think of you. And that is in every area of our life, honestly. It doesn't matter what other people think. If God tells me that I should homeschool my children, then I am going to homeschool my children, whether you like it or not. And that is something that I really had to learn. So I would just encourage you with saying it takes time, but as long as we stay close to God and we really focus on what does God want me to do and what does He tell me that I need to do and that I shouldn't do and all the things, then it doesn't matter in the end what other people think. And that is, again, that is a process, and it takes time and it gets easier along the way. So if family members don't agree, we usually just try to get away from the conversation and we just say, okay, well, that's okay, this is our choice, and if you don't agree, that's okay. And we try to move away from the conversation and just focus on something else that we do agree on, because I don't want things that we don't agree on to impact our relationship. So if there's something that some people don't like that we do, then we don't talk about it. We try to save our relationship by staying away from certain topics, if that makes sense. These were the questions that I got. Now, if you have any more questions that you forgot to ask me, like I said before, you can ask me down below in the comment section. I will try to answer as well as I can. And if you want to ask me anything privately, that is also fine. If I want to answer the question, I will. And you can do that on Instagram. I will put my Instagram handle on the screen as well, so you can follow me over there. But I really wanted to thank you for being here, for asking me all these questions. And I like having the opportunity to get to know each other a little bit more, even though you get to know me and I don't get to know you as much in this in this video. So let me know down below who you are, where you're from, and all that, because I do love to get to know you all. And I would love to see you in my next video, which is going to be a really fun one. It's going to be a collaboration with my friend Kelsey Westman. So definitely stay here, subscribe to my channel to make sure that you don't miss that video, because it's going to be a really fun one. And I would love to see you in that video.